Music producers, what is the difference between beats that sell and beats that don't sell within your actual beat store? Let's talk about it. Music producers, have you ever sat down with your catalog and look over your numbers and see the beats that just sell like crazy for you? And crazy could be, different for different people. Maybe a beat that sells 5 times in 1 month is crazy for you. That's fine. Have you ever looked at those beats and then said, what is the difference between this beat and these other beats? It's got to be more than just this beat is dope and this one is trash. It's not that. I simply hate that word trash, even though I've been using it a lot lately. But I don't like that word trash because it doesn't give anything constructive to build off of. So, that being said, when you look at your beats, how often do you study the elements of those beats? And now, the elements of those beats could include the BPM, how fast or how slow the beat is. The elements can include the actual style of beat. Is it a trap? Is it an R&B? Is it a sort of a EDM type of beat, whatever the case may be? What is it that's attracting your audience, right? And then also too, we've had videos before that talked about what is your audience. You may be giving them the wrong thing, but it's important for you to know the elements of what makes a successful beat. Now, when you get a sale, I'll always share with you, and I'll share with you right now. When you get a sale, you need to be a hound dog for the success that you've already laid out for yourself. When I say a hound dog, a hound dog, well, they can smell and sniff anything up in a room. They can smell your next thought, and I don't mean a thought, but they can smell your next thought because they so doggone their senses is good. So that being said, you need to be able to be on the hunt for your success. And something that I found, these are the things that I found with my beats, is that typically, when I make a certain style of beat, for instance, when I make a hip hop beat that is like strictly hip hop with live instrumentation, the higher I am in the 90s of the BPMs, the higher I am, the closer I am to 100, the more those sell, right? Obviously, there's some science to that, whether it's people feel like they're more comfortable to rap over that. Then I noticed that the trap beats that end up selling crazy for me end up being like between the 74 to 86 range. Why is that? Well, a lot of lyricists, when you get a beat that lyricists want to rap over and trap rappers want to rap over, and it's a trap beat, you about to go crazy, especially in 2017, 2018, right? So what I found is that middle ground is great for trap rappers because obviously it's a trap beat, and for hip hop rappers, or not hip hop, oh my God, for lyricists, because they look at that and they say, okay, this BPM 84, 83, that's about the BPM that I can fit a lot of syllables in between bars in this particular beat. You give them space to still be a lyricist, but be over something that's more modern and not just necessarily boom bap or traditional hip hop. Also, too, another thing that I paid attention to, how long does it take me to make certain beats? Because what I learned is that those beats where I think I'm Dr. Dre and I want to spend 4 or 5 days on it, which that never happens for me. I don't ever spend 4 or 5 days on it because I'm too impatient. But those beats that I spend all that time on end up being the beats that are the lame ducks when it comes to sales. Right? Now, those beats that I spend about an hour and a half to about an hour and 40, and you can actually measure this on FL Studio. FL Studio has something, if you go into project files and you look into your project settings, it'll tell you the duration of time that it took you to make a certain beat. Right? So when I'm trying to think of beats that I want to promote, you don't always want to use it as the only metric, but it's something to also look into because sometimes as producers, we just catch a groove. It doesn't take us a long time to figure out what we want to do. Sometimes it'll be a good day. We got paid. We got good energy. Maybe we got some good news. Maybe we had something bad happen and now we in a dark place. We about to make the craziest beat ever. Whatever the case may be, when you get in that mode, whatever that state is for you, your physicality changes, your physiology changes, and you're sitting in front of this computer, you're sitting in front of this laptop. Every single decision you're making is deliberate. You'd be so angry sometimes that you'd be like, man, F a piano. I'm about to put these synthesizers on there. It's like, why are you so aggressive about the synthesizer, bro? It's not that serious. But you be that serious about it because it's deliberate about your actions. And when you're that deliberate, what's going to happen is that you cut off all the unnecessary fat that you put into your beats, trying to make the beats sound prettier, trying to add different sound effects, thinking that you so-and-so out here. Instead of doing that, you start to be deliberate about what you're putting in there. Look, this is an angry beat, and if I want to put 3 instruments in there, I bet you it still sound angry. your nostrils be flaring and stuff, you all angry and all that. But that's what happens when you're deliberate about it. You get the right message across. And what I've learned is that those beats that I go in there with a very specific plan. You know, when I have times where I make a beat and it'll start off being like, okay, I'm gonna make this like real R&B-ish, and it's gonna be like a Bryson Tiller, and then it end up just sounding like something that any trap rapper can rap over. It ends up sounding like Future. It ends up sounding like it's just not where I was intending it to go. I just kind of stay loose with the process sometimes, but I found that the beats that sell the most for me are those beats. They're very deliberate. It might be like only 4 melodic instruments, not counting the drums, 4 melodic instruments, straight to the point, and we're out of here. Now, one part of that could be the fact that it's deliberate about its direction and its emotion. Another part about that may be that you're not getting in the way of the rapper or the singer. A lot of that could be the fact that you're making a beat that you say, you know what? This is all this beat needs. Right? There's no need for me to fill in other space because that's what the rapper's job is going to be. Sometimes we overproduce our records, and that is different. That is a difference between records that actually sell for us as leasing producers and, beats that don't actually sell. So it's very important for you to look at these different elements, look at the different things that make up your beats, because there's many a times where I would sit there and I would swear up and down, this beat is gonna sell like crazy, man. I put raw flutes in there. I put like live pianos. I got different runs on the pianos, and I'm like, oh, they gonna eat this up. And then they end up listening to it, and it's like, I guess their reaction sometimes is, that sounds cool, man. Like, I like it as an instrumental. I don't even want to rap on it. And I'm like, but fam, that wasn't the point. The point was for you to rap on it. But then I learned that you have to be the yin to the yang. You have to be the peanut butter to the jelly when it comes to these rappers. You have to do your job as a producer. When you're trying to put this product out to the general public, you got to do your job. Part of your job is creating a landscape or creating sort of a starting point for these rappers to get inspired in terms of a concept to go into, but you don't steal the show. If you up here trying to put string runs and you putting 1,000,000 different drops in it, and I know that may be contradictory to some of my critique my beats, critique my beats episodes, but let's get away from that. The whole point of it is when you're trying to make this for beats to sell, it's a little bit different of a philosophy, because sometimes rappers will hear all these drops and they'll see the potential of what this could be. Then they'll take it and scale it back, right? But I always think that it's better for you to show more effort within your work, but then also too, not ignore the simplicity and the value of simplicity. Sometimes that beat just need a lead instrument. It needs a couple of pads in the chorus. It needs some banging drums. It needs an 808. And I'm not saying that that's gonna make the greatest beat in the world, but it will make the most deliberate beat. It will make the most focused beat, and you will get somebody in there that says, "That's what I needed. That's all I wanted." Some people go through so many lengths, trying to be the next Tone Jones. There can only be one Tone Jones, and Tone Jones is a genius for a reason. Tone Jones sit up there, man. His compositions, I be wanting to sample him, but I was like, that's not cool because we both lease and producers. But that's a whole nother story. But what I'm saying is study your beats and see what elements of them. Ask your customers. Get on the phone with them. I think it's worth getting on the phone with them and asking them, what attracted you to this beat instead of these other beats? I've had customers that come to my website and say, I only want this one beat. I don't want, I had one time when I had like a buy one, get 3 free. And the customer said, I just don't even want that. Like, I just want this one beat. And then I had to ask him, what was it about these other beats? They're just a little bit too distracting. This one, I already got a concept, I already got a hook on it for it. I already know what I want to do with this. And those are generally the beats I take I shouldn't say the least amount of time, but it's the most focused amount of time. Because it's easy for us to get out of focus when we're making beats. We could have our phone in front of us, and that's why I'm starting to turn my phone off as I'm making beats. We can have our phone in front of us. We check Twitter while something's rendering, or while we open up a VST, and then we look at the VST and see it's loaded, and we still checking Twitter. That kind of unfocused nature makes us make unfocused decisions. You start adding instruments that don't have nothing to do with the original vibe of that beat. That's why I do suggest that you take breaks, walk away from the sound, take your headphones off, take your speakers, turn them off, come back to the room, because you can be unfocused, and unfocused compositions equals out to no sales for you, my mans, or my gentlemen's, or my ladies, or whoever's out there selling beats. That is just simply what is going to happen. So stay focused in your approach. Study, be a student of the game. Study other beats that you see that are within your lane, that are taking off. Ask yourself, what elements of this beat do I think is worth buying into, right? Now, we're not even getting into your website. That's a whole nother video in itself. But right now, focus on your actual art and ask yourself, let's just start this for right now. Ask yourself 3 things that you think. Matter of fact, you can leave it in the comments. Go to one of your most successful beats. It could be your most highest played beat or your highest selling beat. And I want you to write 3 characteristics that beat, not even just that beat, your top 3 beats. Okay, scratch all that. Find your top 3 beats, whether it's plays, whether it's sales. You might not have got your first sale. 3 top beats, and write 3 characteristics in the comments right now about what those beats have in common. And I bet you when you write it down, you're going to start to activate it in your brain, and your brain's going to know. Next time we sit down in front of FL Studio or Logic or Machine or Reason or whatever you use in Ableton, we're going to know what to do because we have a very focused approach now. Once again, it's another Curtspiration. Doodle, you need some more of that juice? Please subscribe to the channel below. Be a part of the notification gang. Please subscribe right now. I'm going to tell you again because we want to get to 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and it's going to take all of our efforts. If you have any suggestions for a future Curtspiration, go to Curtis King Beats /Curtspiration, and we will get to it as soon as possible. My friend, going back to the topic at hand, there are differences whether you want to buy into it or not. There are differences between beats that sell like hotcakes for you and beats that they stay in the box that cakes are made. I don't know, it's terrible. But there's reasons why some of them just don't take off the way you want them to. And you'd be surprised how many things these things have in common, how many characteristics they have in common. Study them, leave them in the comments. I would love to see, I would love for you to first share it, write it down, but then see how much stuff you have in common with the other producers in our community. You might be surprised. We have the same characteristics of what's a beat sells. Is it because it's wide open? Whatever the case may be, leave it in the comments below. I would love to see 3 of your top beats. What are the 3 characteristics of them that they all have in common that you think equal out to your success on those particular beats? In this life, you would not be full of life until you decide to live life to its fullest. CurtisKingBeats.com. One of those. I can't listen to you. When I listen to you, it's a liability. Cause you be mentally killing my inner energy. So I'm concealing my feelings before you injure me.